Hi, my name is Eline, and with this podcast, I dive deep into the world of chronic illness. What is living with a chronic illness like? What are ways to redefine your purpose when life hit you so hard? How do people do this? I am on the lookout for answers to find out if there is a way to have a life filled with freedom, joy, and happiness, even when it feels like you're a prisoner in your own body. Welcome. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Spoonies Community Podcast. My name is Eline, and I am super happy and very excited to be here for the first episode of this podcast. I'm also a bit nervous recording this one, but above all, I can't wait to dive into the world of chronic pain, chronic illness, interview people, share my work, share how nervous system work has helped myself in my own journey, and all the other tools and tricks that help in the journey of dealing with chronic illness. And so for this first episode, I was wanting to share my own story with you, because obviously it's not for no reason that I am diving deep into the world of living with chronic pain and chronic illness and doing all of this work. I have my own story as well. And some of you might know it already from Instagram or if you know me personally. But this is the space where I'm going to be going quite headfirst deep dive into the story. And to help me do that, I have my first guest speaker here, my amazing husband, Marcus.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here and helping me tell the story.
Of course.
Obviously, I also invited you here because you are very much part of the story as well. And this has really been a journey that we have been navigating together.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I'm just very excited to have you here. And you are going to be taking on the role of the interviewer. So you are going to be asking me questions.
Great.
And yeah, let's dive into it.
Okay. So I think probably a good place for us to start is who Eline was before the accident. So when we first met a year prior, maybe let's start there. Who was Eline? What was she about? What was she doing?
Well, that was 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that we first started dating and that we met. Just graduated. No, actually, I was still in the process of graduating from Hotel School Hague in Amsterdam whilst doing my internship in London at Expedia, which is where we met back in the days.
Yeah.
And I had a very active lifestyle. So I was working a lot, hanging out with my colleagues and friends a lot.
And studying at the same time.
And studying. I was writing my thesis. Yeah, very true. Writing my thesis at the same time. And we basically went to the gym all the time as well.
You were working out every day. We were playing table tennis every day at work.
Yeah.
You were socializing.
Yeah.
Traveling.
Yeah. Very much living a full 25-year-old life, I would say, at that point.
Yeah.
Literally sky's the limit. Very high ambitions. And yeah.
Extremely active. For me at the beginning, probably too active. I was a little bit quieter back then, but you were definitely busy. Busy. Just having fun.
Yeah. So that was, I think, the life before. I think that's also, it's not only the year before, it's the years before that I've always lived like that.
Yeah. So then take us to just before the accident. Where were you? Because we were with my family.
Yeah, we were with your family. So the accident happened on New Year's Eve, 2018, 2019. It was early mornings of 2019 on the 1st of January.
New Year's Day, yeah.
New Year's Day, sorry, yeah. And we were up in Harrogate in the UK with your brother.
Yep.
And your mum. Mm-hmm. We were celebrating at your brother's house and in the evening walking back to your mum's place as we were staying there. Basically, for the people who know Harrogate, there's a really big field and
big park.
A big park. It's called the Stray. And we were walking there on the way home, play fighting.
Yeah.
Right? After a fun evening,
yeah,
as you do.
A couple that have been dating for a year and a bit. We were just play fighting on the way home.
We still do.
After a few drinks. Yeah.
And we were just pushing each other around and, putting a foot in front of each other. And at one point, I remember you grabbing me by the arms and putting me down on the grass, on the Stray.
Yeah.
And I remember I grabbed you by the arms. I was like, if you are pushing me down, I'm taking you with me.
Yeah.
And basically pulled you down, making you lose balance and fell, you fell awkwardly.
My whole body weight fell on you.
Yeah. On my left ankle, my left leg. Obviously, legs don't bend sideways. So that didn't really go go down well. Yeah, so I immediately knew something was wrong. You were not so sure of it, were you?
I was shrugging it off because, it was 2:00 in the morning of New Year's Day and we'd had a few drinks and I thought you're just playing around saying that you're in pain.
Yeah.
Quickly realizing that you weren't playing around.
No, I really realized we needed to go to hospital ASAP. Right?
Yeah. No, we did. And I tried to pick you up.
Yeah. That's also when I got confirmed that I needed to go to hospital because my foot was dangling in ways that wasn't really how it's supposed to be. You picked me up, carried me to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Which was about, for the people who don't know it, like it's about still 150
Probably
meters.
150 meters, yeah.
And we were trying to get an ambulance.
Well, we were trying to get anyone, but it's New Year's Day at 2:00 in the morning.
There was no one there. And I was a bit panicking at this point. Like my breathing definitely changed. Yeah. And then at one point you waved down a police car who was coincidentally driving by. Police van.
Yeah, it was a police van, which wasn't being used, but ironically on New Year's Day. Apparently people of Harrogate were not having that much of a good time. So I was able to flag it down and then ask them to take us to the nearest hospital, which was only half a kilometre away.
Yeah, it wasn't that far, thank God, because I was in absolute agony. So they basically drove us to the hospital.
Gave us a lift.
Got me into a wheelchair there, immediately got some x-rays done. And I remember asking them, the woman who was taking the scans, obviously normally they're not allowed to say anything yet. You need to wait for the doctor, etc., etc. And I looked at her, I was like, it's broken, isn't it? And she gave me the nod. Yeah. She's like, yeah. Oh.
The hospital was empty as well.
Yeah.
I think there was only us and one other person that was in there.
Yeah.
So we got seen really quickly.
Very, very quickly. Thank God. And the doctor came to see us and he confirmed there were 3 fractures, quite complex. Like it's not the easiest fractures. He was also asking like, how on earth did you do this? Because, normally we see these kind of fractures with
accidents.
Yeah. Like motor accidents and stuff. It became clear that I needed surgery, but he said, I'm going to put you in a cast because we were still 5 hours away from home, from London. So he said, I'm going to put it in a cast. If it's straight enough and it's stable enough, go back home, see your surgeon there, because then at least after surgery, you are close to home and close to, being a place where you want to recover from the surgery. And I think what's important for people to know as well is that I come from quite a medical family. So my dad is a doctor. I always wanted to become a doctor myself. I used to love to go to hospitals and, as a kid, I would go join my dad at work and I'd just be there. And so I was at this point, yes, I was in pain, but I was also very blasé about it. I was like, well, everyone breaks a bone at one point in their life. Everyone has surgery at one point in their life. Let this be my time. It's okay. Even the train ride back home, do you remember?
Of course I remember, yeah. Trying to get a train from the north of England to London just after New Year's with our suitcases, our shopping, our Christmas presents.
Did we have a wheel? We used a wheelchair from them, didn't we?
Yeah, we borrowed a wheelchair from them. No, we didn't.
Oh, no, it was a train station wheelchair.
It was a train station wheelchair. Yeah, trying to do that on 3 trains because you have to then get the trains and then you get replacement bus services in the UK and we get...
That was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. That was we thought it was fun at that point.
Yeah, although I was in pain.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so at that point, I was very blasé about it. I was very nonchalant, basically. And we saw a doctor who came recommended by a friend of yours.
Who had a
similar fracture. We went to see him and he confirmed I needed surgery. So I think 10 days after this initial injury, I was scheduled in for surgery.
Yeah.
And I remember going into the theater room and I was actually quite nervous because it was very different than how things are being done in Holland. And they were taking me in, they were pulling and pushing my body and like putting drips and stuff like in me, not really talking me through what was happening. And I wasn't in a theater room yet. I was like in a small kind of like
pre-theater.
Yeah, but it was very weird, like a small hallway kind of with a sink. Like I have never seen something like that before. And that was all like, before I knew it, I was basically zonked. I was KO'd. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really have any preparation of that. First thing I remember waking up after surgery was extreme nausea. Like extreme nausea and extreme unbearable pain. They put my leg in a boot and I remember opening up the boot to see what the hell had happened. And not recognizing my own foot at all. It was so bad. I took a photo of it. I still have that photo. I think I can just about manage to look at it, but it's still very triggering. So the nausea was there. The doctor hadn't come yet to see us to tell what he had done.
No.
He only came 24 hours later, which was not what I needed at that point.
No.
I kind of needed him to be there to kind of calm me down as well, to just explain what had happened. In the end, he told me he put a plate and 8 screws in my leg and another screw in my other side of the ankle. And then the physio came in the afternoon. So I had surgery in the morning. The afternoon, the physio came already. And she basically said, in order for you to go home tomorrow, you need to walk a certain amount of steps. It was kind of like a simulation from what it would be like when I'm in the home from the sofa to the toilet, basically, because that was the extent I needed to walk. I was happy you were there.
Yeah, me too.
Because I sat up straight.
Fainted.
Basically. And fainted.
Yeah. Straight
away. This basically happened for the next 4 days.
Yeah. Every time you tried to get up, you would faint. We occasionally got to you on being on your feet and getting to like a hallway.
Yeah.
And then you would do 1, maybe 2 steps and basically faint again.
Yeah.
And that was as far as we could get.
Yeah. And staying for 1 day ended up staying for 5 days.
Yeah. Which they weren't particularly happy about.
Nope. But they also they saw that I wasn't able to move.
No,
really.
you couldn't. No.
And they also couldn't get my pain under control.
No.
So after 5 days, I went home. I only went home because it was a Friday afternoon. Yeah. And they said nothing's going to change over the weekend in terms of there's no doctors.
No.
So you're going to go home and then call us back on Monday to see how things are going. Yeah. And that was the beginning of basically being bedbound for quite some
months.
Yeah. Quite some months, actually.
In the UK, in London particularly.
Yeah. I remember after 2 weeks, I had to go back to the doctor for post-op checks. I was with my mom because you were in Tokyo at that point.
True.
And the doctor saw me. At this point, imagine I was still basically in bed watching series with my mom, having like a good time, but also realizing like I'm in bed all the time and I can't get up. So I was there and he ripped off the plaster of my leg, and only that already made me faint again. And once I recovered from the initial shock of him ripping off a plaster of my leg that was in so much pain, all I got was, why haven't you started physio yet? I told you needed to start physio straight away. Yeah. And I remember looking at him like, you have no idea in how much pain I am and how I can't even get to a physio. So he prescribed some heavy medication and basically said, you really need to start physio and I'll see you in a few months. At this point, we thought that within another 4 to 6 weeks, I'd be able to walk again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we thought if we can get the pain under control, then start physio and then it's a quote unquote normal recovery.
Yeah.
That's what we thought.
Well, how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
No, it didn't. No, after about 5 weeks at home with you juggling a full-time job, going into the office because working from home didn't exist, was pre-COVID, guys.
Yeah.
So working from home wasn't a thing yet. So you were juggling work, you were juggling taking care of me.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking after Asia market at that point for Expedia, and I was on calls at 5 o'clock in the morning speaking to Japan, then getting the train into the office, working for a few hours, and then coming back to help you at home because you weren't able to walk to the toilet at that point. You weren't able to walk those steps because it was actually had to go down some steps, and so you needed support. So it would be a race against time to get back of the distress of you really needed to go to the toilet or hungry or just attention because you were just bedbound or sofa bound, really. Yeah.
And after 5 weeks, we decided I need to go back to Holland for a while because of the support network just being bigger there. Yeah. So I went back to Holland, stayed there for 2 months. My neighbor is a physio, my neighbor in Holland. So he came out to help out with some exercises. And the first exercise that he gave was putting my leg down. That means I always had my leg up on pillows, on cushions, on the sofas, and I needed to practice putting my foot down on the floor, not even stand on it, just basically putting it down. And that was the first exercise, and the most difficult one probably that I had to do. At one point, we practiced putting a little bit of weight through in the boot. I managed to go up to 9 kilos in the end at the end of the first 2 months. Put 9 kilos through my weights or through my leg.
What was the measurement thing that he did as well? It was like we were measuring how far you would.
No, that was later. Yeah, that was later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, that was later.
That's to come.
Yeah, that's to come. Cliffhanger here.
Yeah.
So after 2 months there, I had to come back to the UK for work purposes.
Yeah.
They told me like for tax reasons, I needed to be in the UK. I couldn't stay in Holland for much longer. So I went back and I started physio there. Basically, that stayed on for like 6 months of trying to train with the physios. I did hydrotherapy.
That was it, yeah.
I changed jobs at this point as well. In that meantime, I moved to a different team because unfortunately the team that I was in wasn't really able to support me working from home.
No, because you needed to be on your feet going to visit clients.
Yeah, so I changed teams and that was a massive lifesaver for me. I was able to work from home more and do my therapies.
And she was a wonderful support, the new manager that you had.
Yeah.
She was
amazing. I still, if you're listening to this, you know, like I still have so much appreciation and respect for everything that you've done to help me out. Like it has literally been life-saving.
Yeah, because even from my side, it was unheard of to have managers' support with working from home or the flexibility of coming in for a few hours just to be in the office, to do your appointments. I mean, like pre-COVID, especially in the corporate world, that just wasn't happening at all. She was wonderful. And actually something that I then in future years of myself managing teams try to always remember, you know, there's a person there that's trying to do their best, but might need some more support. And she was wonderful at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved teams and then after 10 months, no, we're skipping some steps. So after 3 months, my surgeon said, I don't know what's going on with you anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to refer you to a pain team. The pain team said, we don't know what's going on. We are not going to do anything until you're at least a year in. Imagine when you hear that. I was supposed to be walking after 6 weeks. Yeah. After 6 months, I heard, come back in 7 months because we're not going to do anything.
And I think also something to note is the doctor who did the surgery was the most dismissive person I've ever met, and he would only, when we would have appointments, he would only speak to me, even though you were the person that was having all of the complications. You would ask him a question, he would direct his answer to me. It was the most sexist, awful human being I've ever met in terms of being a doctor and the care of someone. He should choose a different profession in my eyes for
I agree.
But then that's why it's also important to then have a pain specialist that's supposed to help you say, come back in 6 months. It was just, we didn't know what to do.
No, I think we were both quite desperate at this time because it was obviously affecting my work as well. It was affecting your job. There was so much care. There was so much worry.
Yeah.
So much insecurity. Like we didn't know what was going on.
No. Because also all of this was self-funded. Aquaphysio, other sides of physio, psychologists.
Yeah, the Ubers to the therapist.
To the therapist, to the office and back.
Yeah.
You were, you thankfully just started a new job, so you were getting paid, but you were on sick pay for some of the other sides. It was tough. We were really trying to navigate that. Yeah. And you didn't have a support network around you in London.
No.
Your family was all in the Netherlands, and I didn't have a support network for us either. So it was kind of you and me against this system. Yeah. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after 6 months, when this doctor told us come back in 7 months, that was the change for us where we were like, we need to change things up.
Yeah.
We can't do this like this.
No.
So we decided to move to Holland.
Yeah. And the spur of that was me looking for a job. I was like, I'm going to start looking for a new job in London. And I remember we were in a pub near home, our home at the time. And then you said, well, how about we look at the Netherlands and go back to the Netherlands for you? And we'd already talked about it actually before, hadn't we? We said that in the future we would think about going to the Netherlands, but this was just a little bit sooner than we both had thought about doing it.
Little did we know that our life turned out to be like that every few years.
Every few years, yeah.
Yeah, so we decided to go back home for me, back to Amsterdam, as soon as you found another job.
Yeah. Yeah, so we started the job search, and for you then to get set up, like what we needed to do to get back into everything.
Yeah. And 2 months later, we moved.
Yeah, it was super quick, actually.
Yeah. And one of the other reasons that we moved as well was because I was obviously a lot more familiar with the Dutch healthcare system.
Yeah.
And we needed some answers.
Yes.
We needed answers as to why I was still in so much pain, why I was in a wheelchair, why I couldn't walk.
Yeah, and unfortunately in the UK, the NHS system, no one that doesn't know, is broken. You know, the fact that you were getting told to wait 6 months before they would even see you was ridiculous. We couldn't wait that long. Whereas in the Netherlands, you could get appointments within a week or within a month. You could have something else. Like, it's a lot quicker.
Thankfully, we had the privilege to be able to move countries like that and to be able to use the Dutch healthcare system. So we moved back in October. I saw some surgeons. They told me, I also don't know what's going on, but the first thing that we would do in any case is get the stuff out of your leg, like get the plates and the screws out of your leg. So 2 months later, in January, exactly a year, almost to the date, exactly a year after my accident, I had another surgery and took out the plates and the screws and see what was inside.
And see if they'd done anything wrong, like if the first surgery had gone wrong in any way.
Yeah. What they told me back then is that they used some material that they wouldn't have used anymore in Holland, but in general, he couldn't really see any problem, really.
No.
Great. But it's also concerning that, you know, physically there was not really something that was very much out of proportion.
Yeah. At one point, we were kind of actually maybe hoping that something had gone wrong so that we'd have at least some answers.
Exactly. And so of course I was quite terrified for the surgery because the first one felt so much out of my own control.
Mm-hmm. And
I woke up with so much nausea and fainting so much afterwards. Thankfully, the second surgery, I mentioned all of those things to
anesthesis. There we go.
That one. And he gave me, they made sure that they really put me on high anti-nausea medications, etc.
And told you everything that was happening.
Exactly. A friend of mine was actually in the surgery room, which was really helpful. And I remember at one point when I got all the drugs to go under and I started to feel like very dizzy, all those things that I felt when I was normally fainting, I remember like feeling a bit panicky, and she literally just held my finger. And that was like all I needed, just some groundedness. That was really, really lovely. After surgery, the first thing I said then, in English, by the way, apparently, was, "Oh my God, I'm not nauseous."
Yeah. And then they started to share how it went and what they saw and give you feedback straight away rather than waiting 24 hours that we had to have the first doctor and all those other bits. Like, they were a lot more consultative and on it and knew how to share information, which was also super important.
Massive difference. And so then I went to see a rehabilitation doctor, and my goal at that point was to get into a rehabilitation center because I was like, you know, it's been a year. I'm I'm young. I shouldn't be in this position right now. So let's go, let's talk to this rehab doctor and get into a rehab center. And I was there, and he basically said, when you go into a rehab center, you will learn how to deal with the pain, but you won't get better. And I still have faith that you can get better. And then he told me many stories of people he had helped, women who he had seen who were in similar situations and then ran a marathon next year. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I guess you're the expert. So if you're saying that I shouldn't go to a rehab center, then let's not go to a rehab center. Yeah. This is also a period when COVID hit. And so and I know many of people listening have probably had similar situations, that put a stop on potential rehab. Yeah. Also, seeing this rehab doctor, he gave me an exercise, and that's the exercise that you spoke to earlier in the beginning. Yeah. So my Achilles was very short at that point, and I needed to
stretch it.
Basically, I needed to stretch it. Yeah. Why is that important? Because if your Achilles is too short, you can't even stand up straight without putting your heel on the floor. So that is what happened in my case. I could not stand straight because my Achilles couldn't be in a position of a 90-degree angle. So I needed to stretch.
Yeah, every day.
Not every day, every 15 minutes.
Yeah, sorry. I mean every day, all day. You can tell the tone of my voice that I could still remember doing this over and over and over and over again. And the alarm that used to go off every 15 minutes, every day for how long? Months. It was excruciating. That's why now, actually, to this day, we don't have an alarm that goes off when we wake up in the morning because we are so traumatized by an alarm of those 15 minutes. It's just clicked to me why I don't like alarms. I think that's why.
I mean, that's what happened. For
Yeah.
6 months straight, I set an alarm every 15 minutes to do this exercise and stretch this Achilles. That was basically the exercise that he gave me.
Yeah,
He didn't give me more exercises.
Which made sense. You know, if you want to be able to walk, you need to stretch your Achilles or else you're not going to be able to walk.
I mean, he could have given me also some exercises.
For sure. Yeah.
But, you know, that's okay.
But I think also at this point, we were listening to as many people and opinions as we possibly could because we don't know any better. And he was giving realistic knowledge and experience that were like, okay, that makes sense. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We were open to anything, really.
Yeah. But then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And that did put a stop on the rehabilitation because I could not go to hospital to see him. So he couldn't see the situation that I was in. We had phone calls of 30 minutes every 2 months or something like that.
2 months.
And unfortunately also here, this wasn't the best of help. At one point, I was more his therapist than he was mine.
Yeah.
And also he could not really, he started to talk in metaphors.
Yeah.
Of why trees are hanging in certain ways, literally. Or that with some people, it just drops a little bit quicker than with others. And I was like, but what needs to drop? Like, just tell me what needs to drop and it will drop and I will get it.
Yeah.
But then he wouldn't share that.
No.
And
he didn't know the answers. That's what I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that or if it was just like an ego thing.
Oh, it's 100% an ego thing, but I feel like that's been the most consistent theme with anyone that we've met through the doctor side. We've met one or two good ones. Don't get me wrong. There are good doctors out there, but unfortunately we have not had that rub of the green, we say in English, with having good doctors.
And I think that is the most, a little bit of a side thing on my story. I think that is what so many people experience. And I don't want to say that Western medicine isn't good.
No.
I mean, again, I come from a medical family and I really believe in Western medicine for acute things, for accidents. If you have a heart attack, it's amazing. The research that's been done is amazing. However, and I think many of people listening will recognize this, once you don't follow or your healing journey doesn't follow a certain protocol anymore, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And then Western medicine is not helpful anymore.
No.
And I think we basically ended up in that position.
Down the line, yeah.
Down the line. So coming back to the story, I was doing exercises for months and months and months. This, like, stretching my Achilles. I was trying to walk on crutches, and I remember walking about 150 meters at one point from our home to the corner on crutches, and that was doable. But more than that, I was just in a wheelchair. I was able at that point to wear your shoe. Not my own shoe.
Yeah, we gave you my bigger shoe.
I got your big white trainer. I was able to wear bigger socks, soft socks, only of certain fabric. I was still not able to wear any jeans.
Even to this day, you still don't wear jeans.
Up until this day, I don't wear jeans,
no.
Indeed. I was able to put my leg down most of the time after.
Yeah, it depends. You could, majority of the time you could do it. You could put it down now.
Yeah, that was after more than 1.5 years.
Yeah.
I started to get to that point. And then I remember a conversation with my mom. That was late August. So more than 1.5 years after my injury.
The original one.
And she was quite desperate in a way.
Yeah, and worried.
And she said, Eline, like this, you are not going to go. Like, how long are you going to do these alarms? Why shouldn't you train more muscles or other exercises? Why aren't you going to see a physiotherapist?
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, Mom, what on earth am I going to do at a physiotherapist?
Yeah.
I can do something for 2 minutes.
Yeah. And then
I have 28 minutes left of doing not being able to do anything else in that session. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And that conversation is something that I will never forget because we were both desperate.
Yeah.
And we were both just worried. about and not knowing what the next step was. And the rehab doctor said, well, physio, you can do it by yourself. You don't need a physio for it. I was like, I can't go and see a physio, but I also don't know what else. And then my mom had a conversation with someone at her work who mentioned a psychosomatic physiotherapist.
Yeah.
I had never heard of a psychosomatic physiotherapist before in my life.
No.
And I started researching this psychosomatic physiotherapist and bumped into a therapist who worked around the corner of our new home in Amsterdam.
Literally 200 meters away.
Yeah.
Just a little bit past that 150 meters you could walk. But it was so close.
Yeah. And she was specialized in chronic pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to go and see her. So we went and made an appointment with her. At this point, I also didn't have any diagnosis, right? Like we were still also searching for doctors who could help me out, figure out what was wrong.
We were also not wanting to call it chronic pain at that point.
No.
Like that was a dreaded word to use. Like, God forbid we said it was chronic pain. That's
you can never get rid of it.
You can never get rid of it, and that's a bigger story. Yeah. But that was what people were most scared about, saying this was going to be chronic pain.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Yeah.
I remember the arguments with many people, and us still, again, trying to navigate it ourselves.
Yeah. So I went to see her for a first appointment, and I think meeting her, she knows that, has been a true turning point in my life, in our lives.
Yeah, massive.
She taught me everything there is to know about pain and the body. She told me, do you need a diagnosis if this is what's happening, if this is the reality of what you're in?
Yeah.
Whatever label you want to give it, you are in pain.
Yeah.
And so with her, we started practicing very slowly to wear my own sneaker, to wear my own socks, to wear long trousers, no jeans, but like
looser trousers. Yeah.
And she prepared me. Well, no, that comes later. She gave me like hope again.
Yeah.
So this was August. I started training with her up until, well, for a very long time. But after 8 months, so March the year after, we finally found a doctor.
Yeah.
After having seen several other doctors who were truly horrible.
Dismissive and,
There was several doctors who told me to just get rid of the wheelchair, get rid of the crutches and just walk. Yeah. And when I would be crying in front of them because I was in so much pain, trying to take a step and then getting a comment, well, like this, you're not getting the tram. You're not going to make it up to the tram on time. We finally found a doctor in March who was able to give a diagnosis, a neurologist who gave the diagnosis CRPS.
Yeah.
Which is complex regional pain syndrome. Sorry. Wow, mind blank.
Mind blank.
And I was terrified and relieved at the same time because CRPS is also called the suicide disease. It is something that if you read up on it,
super
scary. And I was relieved because with the diagnosis, we could finally get to places.
Yeah. Yeah.
It opened new doors.
Yeah, it did.
So even though my physio said, you don't need a diagnosis because it falls under the same umbrella. I completely agree with that up until this day as well. And I tell all my coaches as well, like, you don't need a diagnosis because it falls under an umbrella of XYZ.
Yeah.
However, in Western medicine, it does open doors to new possible treatments. That was the moment that I decided to go to a rehabilitation center after all. And my physiotherapist helped me train to get to a point where I was good enough as in well enough to be able to go to a rehabilitation center, because they don't take in pain patients who are completely unable to.
No, you had to be able to walk a certain distance in crutches, I think, was it? Or
at least be able to wear my own shoe.
Wear your own shoe, yeah. There was a few things that you had to train for.
Yeah. And so she helped me get to that point. I started to apply for this rehabilitation center and got accepted.
Yeah.
For September that year. So we still had a few months to go, and I was using those few months to train hard to get to a place of, good health, to get most out of that for 3 months.
Yeah.
So we started in September. I started in September, was there for 3 months, and I loved it.
Yeah, you did.
It was the first place where I was like, after 2.5 years fighting, where I felt like I could be a human being without being the odd one or the strange one in a wheelchair, or what's actually going on with you, all those questions.
Yeah. They listened, they understood, and they were there to help rather than judging you.
Yeah. And it was so accessible.
Yeah, it
was. It made life so much easier, the accessibility of everything.
Yeah, also you were able to get the taxi service that was paid for through this as well, like to get there and back, because it wasn't close. It was 40 minutes away. So even things like that really helped.
Yeah. Taxi service was the second time out though.
Oh, sorry.
First time you brought me.
Oh yeah, first time out was me.
It was you and my parents.
True, yeah.
So those 3 months, I was there 2 times or 3 times a week, full days, learning more about pain education, about pain in the body, about pain in the brain, pain in your nervous system, and then practicing, training very hard. One of the things that they told me to do was get on a bike, because
you're Dutch.
I'm Dutch. And everything needs to happen on a bike.
Yeah.
So I was terrified of being on a bike, because I was thinking like, my leg, if I suddenly need to jump off, especially in Amsterdam, if I've been to Amsterdam, you suddenly need to jump off bikes every now and then. I really thought like, how is my leg going to support me? But they were adamant. We're like, you can't break anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like we practiced it a few times and it was okay, and in the end I was cycling through the town where the rehabilitation center was.
Yeah.
A town, not Amsterdam.
No.
But
small seaside town.
A small seaside town. But, it did give me a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
And I look back on those 3 months with a lot of gratitude, and I was really terrified for it to be over, because I really, really progressed there.
Yeah, there was a lot of progress.
There was so much progress. I was walking small parts without crutches. I say walking, I mean more wobbling. I feel like a mother duck, who was wobbling.
Ironic for the name.
Right? But I was, and the pain was still there, yes, but it also it was a little bit.
You were able to go further based with the pain.
Yeah.
What I mean is that the beginning of that, you would be in pain, you would be able to go small distances. Now you're able to go longer distances, but have that same amount of pain.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So I wanted to, after those 3 months, it was around Christmas period. Yeah, it was. Then, I finished in January. I finished late Jan, because we were, it was during COVID period still.
Bloody cold.
And it was really cold. And I finished late January. Then I had 3 months by myself before I had to come back for like a follow-up appointment. Yeah. And in those 3 months, I went back to see my physio, and I started, I continued training. And that was, those few months were, well, because of other circumstances, the happiest of our months in terms of health.
Yeah.
I really started to improve. And the months that I was away from the rehabilitation center were hard. I really wanted to go back to do another 3 months in order to
take the next leap, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Improve even more. And so after 3 months, I had to come back for a follow-up appointment, and I basically expressed my wishes to come back for another 3 months, because I was like, if I had improved so much in 3 months' time, imagine what I can do as well in another 3 months. Yeah. Imagine how far I can get with another 3 months. And so we had those discussions, and I was accepted for another 3 months.
Yeah, we were pumped.
It was amazing. I was going to start in June.
Yeah.
We were in April on holidays in Ibiza.
Where we live now.
Where we live now. But we didn't know that.
We didn't know that at the time, no.
We actually didn't really like it that much. Ibiza
no, not really. No.
At that time. And then
I proposed to you.
Yes.
Because also that it had been a difficult few months from my side for personal reasons. And then, you'd made such progress that we really were starting to see this new kind of normal that we weren't able to see. And it was a perfect time for me to propose from my side. And so, we got engaged in Ibiza.
Completely unexpected.
Yeah, well, that was the idea. Yeah. Surprise. Yeah.
And after a few days of enjoying it with our friends, we came home on a Thursday evening.
Yeah.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
We were home at like 2:30,
Yeah.
and the Friday we were gonna celebrate with our parents. They
Yeah.
were gonna come to our home in Amsterdam
Yeah.
and celebrate. I still had a physio session on that Friday, so I went to physio, and I remember going back, and I was so done with physio. Imagine at this time I was already 3.5 years in.
Yeah.
It was 3.5 years after the first accident, 3.5 years of seeing therapists, whether it was physio, massage therapist, psychologist, aquaphysio,
pain specialist,
doctor's appointments, more doctor's appointments, more doctor's appointments.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah, you were.
And I was, at this point also thinking about going back to work.
Yeah.
About,
what that might look like,
etc. After the second trip in the rehabilitation center. So I came back from the physio. I was tired of our late night flights.
Yeah.
And I actually, at this point, I practiced cycling a lot in those 3 months. It was always with you or with my physiotherapist.
Yeah.
It was always with someone. And I actually had my own bike again.
Yeah, we just got you a bike.
For my birthday.
Yeah.
Remember? And so this bike had, what do you call that?
Gears.
Yeah.
Which Dutch bikes do not have normally gears.
No, that's a very good point. So for the English listeners or like not Dutch listeners, our bikes have like this low, how do you say that? We don't have a bar in the middle.
No.
We have, we sit up straight on our Oma bikes, as we call it. There's like, it's low. There's no...
Yeah, there's no bar in the middle of it.
This bike...
You also brake backwards. You reverse cycle to brake.
Yeah.
Instead of using handle brakes.
Yeah. These are all things that I didn't know were a thing. So I saw you on a Dutch bike.
Yeah, and I had no idea what I was doing.
So this bike, however, because it had gears, it did have a bar in the middle.
Yeah.
Even though it was a women's bike, but it had a bar in the middle because of the gears.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I cycled back home from the physio to our home. And again, I got into this headspace of, I'm annoyed, I don't want to do this anymore. I was literally so childish, making faces, that's faces, on my bike.
Were you?
Literally, it's so embarrassing, out in the open, cycling back home.
Which is only...
200 meters.
No, because it was from the other one. It was less than, a 3-minute cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally going downhill and then I was...
Yeah.
The hills in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's not a hill.
It's not a hill.
No.
And so you weren't home at that point. You were at the hairdressers.
Yeah.
So this was really the first time I was cycling back by myself.
And I remember you text me and you said, I'm just leaving the physio now. And I was just leaving the hairdressers because I was walking, I think, or cycling. I was cycling because it was a little bit further back. And I was like, okay, I'll see you at home.
And then I remember being in this headspace, cycling back home, and basically getting back into quite an automatic way of cycling as I used to, which is it's actually great because apparently I felt comfortable on my bike. And I was in this headspace of like, I can't do this anymore, I don't want this anymore. And also getting excited for the evening, to celebrate our engagement. And right in front of our home, I got off my bike the way I used to, which meant the way I used to was without the bar in the middle that we just talked about, swinging over my right leg to the left side, jumping off my bike.
Yeah.
However, I forgot there was a bar in the middle.
Yeah.
So I basically
tripped over
myself off my own bike.
Yeah.
The moment I hit that bar, I remember everything going down in slow motion. It was literally like in the movies. And all I could think about was, sorry. Not on my left leg.
Yeah.
And I fell on my left leg. The moment my leg hit the floor, I kind of like jumped off, turning onto the other side. So I wouldn't land on my left leg and heard it snap.
Yeah. Not just your ankle this time.
And this is where we're going to end episode 1.
Yeah, cliffhanger.
A cliffhanger for episode 2. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I mean, I would say I'm happy to relive it, but actually it has been nice to think about how far we've come, you've come, but just how much challenge it's been for you over those years and difficult times that we had and all of the things you had to go through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a long story that we need to share. Episode 1, we're halfway through now. Lots more to come in episode 2.
See you in episode 2.
Bye all.